Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to December's giveaway. I'm just going to give it a minute or two, and hopefully we can get our chat bit up. And then give it a minute or two, and fingers crossed, we should be good to go. So that's great news. We've got an eye icon up, and it's moving up. So fingers crossed it's working. So before we start on December's giveaway, because I've got the best missus ever. And I know she'll be watching, so I've got to say that, but I really do. And you all know what she's like. Can you see it? It's horrendous, isn't it? That's what happens Christmas time. How fake is that smile? You remember your old school photos, probably a long, long time ago, that, but when you sat there like that. So that is our hat. So I'm going to point it down a little bit. That's what she got me ready for Christmas. And as you can tell, I'm so pleased to be wearing it. So we've got one come through from Scott Ellis. Evening, Paul. Evening, Scott. Hope you're keeping well. And thank you ever so much for commenting. You know what I'm like. Always a bit nervous until we get our sort of first comment come in. So, yeah, hope you're keeping well. Our next one is from Mike. Hello, Paul. Hi, Mike. Hope you're keeping well. And going further down, this one's from James. Evening, mate. Evening, James. Hope you're keeping well. It's getting to that time of the year now where, that time of the month where we've got to start thinking about shopping soon, haven't we? And I've been going out doing a bit of food shopping with Joe lately, and it's just, nope. No, not for me. Hold off for a little bit. But to be fair, I have actually been quite good. Well, I say I've been quite good. Joe's lenient on me, very lenient. So a lot of the stuff we buy online now, which I'm guessing most of you do. And as you can imagine, I'm not very confident doing it. So, yeah, there's not many things that she doesn't know that she's got because it's through her Amazon account. But taking that off now. That's my bit done, Joe. It was for definitely a good minute. So this one's from James. Hope you and the family have a lovely Xmas, mate, and to all the Match Focus family. Definitely, James. Thank you ever so much. Hope you and the family have a lovely Christmas and New Year. Definitely that time of the year now where, even for me, I'm not a big eater, but I definitely end up putting on quite a bit of weight over the Christmas time. But that's what it's all about, isn't it? So moving further down, but thanks ever so much, James. This one's from Westy, I'm guessing. Evening, Westy. Hope you're keeping well. So what we're going to do is I'm going to read out my little bit before we do sort of reading out our winners as such. Because, again, I'm sure I see it on, I can't remember where I see it, but it wasn't that long ago where there was another thing on Facebook just saying, it might have been from Andy actually, saying about something to do with Fishermania, and these creatures are out there all of the time. So I'm saying every month, it's one bit that I don't like touching on, but I'd never want any of our boys or girls to ever get scammed. We're never, ever, ever, ever going to ask for your bank details. So if ever you get something through and you think, no, that don't seem right, one, forward it on to me and I can tell you whether it's us or not. But we're never, ever going to ask you for your card details. So just bear that in mind, because I know it goes around, all of the time, basically. And say, I don't want any of our boys or girls to ever fall for something like that because they're ever so convincing. So the bit that Joe always says to me, basically now, because we've got 2 subscriptions, one on the website and one on YouTube. If you subscribe via the website and you think you've won, and you think, oh, Paul called my name out. If you subscribe via the website, you will get an email from us, and it's going to be from support@matchfocus.co.uk. If you subscribe via YouTube and you think your name's been called out, you need to email us. So again, use that same email address, support@matchfocus.co.uk, and then Joe will sort out all of the background stuff. I don't have anything to do with that, and make sure you get sort of all your prizes sent out. So moving on to what we're going to be giving away this month. So as normal, 10 winners. Shall I put my hat back on? So each of our 10 winners will win the following, and then I'm taking it off. but I've got to do it for the Christmas spirit. So the first one being course expander. So a kilo of course expander, really nice course mix, as the name says, and that was Paul Yates's mix. Lovely mix for this time of the year. As I was touching on before about Christmas presents, Amazon, that's probably going to be going all night, and I'm going to blame Joe or Stuart because I don't think I've got anything coming. So our first winner, the first ground bait will be a kilo of course expander. Our second ground bait is Skimmer's Dark. No one's answering the door. One of the girls will hear it, I hope, if Joe's watching. Joe, the door's ringing. I just see. I might have to run upstairs if he didn't. They're not coming down. Can I have 2 seconds? Sorry. Apologies about that, but say at this time of the year, you know what they're like, and they leave it out front. Our road's dead busy, and you know again what some youths are like outside. Ends up going missing, so but it's all safe. So anyway, let's start from the beginning because I've lost track. So going through our 10 winners, you're going to win the following. Hopefully, it's worth the wait, and you're one of our winners. So the first one being that kilo of course expander. Out of breath. Already been eating too much. And then the second one being the kilo of Skimmer's Dark. That's one mix that, to be honest, I find myself using more and more this time of the year. I like things nice and simple. And to be honest, whatever I'm fishing for now, if I'm fishing for skimmers, like sort of commercial silverfish, F1s, been using it a ton a bit, especially last year. And if I was going carp fishing, I love that mix, to be honest, because it's just one less thing to worry about. And it's a brilliant mix, so popular, you know, in the match fishing scene now, especially. So a kilo of that, and then moving further down, you can save, you know, some of these mixes for the summertime. So a kilo of pole mix, you know, as it starts to warm up, maybe going out of spring. Again, if you're going somewhere where there's quite a few carp, you know, you can still use that this time of the year. But personally, that's my sort of springy, summery mix for the F1s. And then moving further down, we've still got a few ledgering lads with us going out carp fishing. Excuse me. So again, you know, at this time of the year, if you was fishing a method for carp, especially, that's the mix that I would use, and if they wanted to eat ground bait. So a kilo of coarse carp. And then lastly, a bag of 4 mil expanders, and they're still those nice small 4 mil ones there. So take the hat off, have a bit of my juice, a bit out of breath, and then we can go through our winners. So our first winner is Christopher Woods. Congratulations, Christopher. Our second winner is Kenneth Brown. Congratulations, Kenneth. Our third winner is Dave Clements. Congratulations, Dave. Our fourth winner is Richard O'Donoghue. Congratulations, Richard. Our fifth winner is Lee Scarborough. Congratulations, Lee. Our sixth winner is Robert Easterling. Congratulations, Robert. Our seventh winner is Alex Derbyshire. Congratulations, Alex. Our eighth winner is Daniel Holgate. Congratulations, Daniel. Our ninth winner is Andrew Keegan. Congratulations, Andrew. And our 10th winner is Mike Woolwork. So a massive congratulations, Mike. So again, I'll just read out the little bit that I read out before. But if you think you've won, if you subscribe via the website, you will get an email from Joe, and it'll be from support@matchfocus.co.uk. If you think you've won and you subscribe via YouTube, you need to email us. So if you email support@matchfocus, and Joe will sort it all out. Again, I want to touch on it. I know it's horrible, but we're never going to ask you for any card details or anything like that. So if ever you're unsure, don't think, I don't want to be a pain, and just send me a message. You're always better off being safe than sorry. So that is our December giveaway. Now, I was trying to think, I don't know what to do. And again, I'm a bloke. I'm not the best prepared as such when it comes to Christmas time. And so what I wanted to do was, we're fishing a live match. We're filming a live match for Match Focus tomorrow at Meadowlands. So I was thinking what I can do is, if you want to comment and guess my weight tomorrow, then what we're going to do is I'm going to give away one of each of our hats. What I didn't realise is we had a problem, to be honest, with the shop side of it, with our caps. So the shop's all up and running now. So if anyone wants to order one, just pop over to Match Focus. Just Google Match Focus. It'll come up. Just go onto the shop and you'll be able to get it all there. But I thought what would be nice is give you a chance to sort of win something, because I know we always get a few people and it's just the luck, you know, of your name coming out. But this might give you a better chance of winning something. So I'll show you our hats quickly. So we've got a nice sort of bluey one, lovely for the summertime, that, to be honest. Really, really nice, that. That's my favourite one, to be honest, in the summertime. And then we've got a black version. So I'm going to give away the closest 4 weights to what we end up weighing in tomorrow, one of each of these hats as such. And again, you can pick the colour. So a black one, and then we've got a nice red one, if red's your colour. Really, really nice, that. And then lastly, the sort of grey one. I'm normally a bit plain Jane. I know I normally wear sort of the white or the grey one, the blue one in the summer, but I'm not quite there with the red one yet. I'm not quite confident enough. So yeah, if you want to comment on this post, I loved you, James. If I catch that, James, you're winning too. So £65.7. What I forgot to say, James, so I'm going to let you have another guess, is it's silverfish only. So if you knew that and you do win, you're my new hero. I absolutely love you. But yeah, silverfish only match tomorrow. But yeah, just pop your guesses in as such. Obviously, you only get one guess each, but I'll let James re-guess if you want to, because that is brave. I'd love to be honest. If I could catch that, I'd be made up. So yeah, that gives you a chance, you know, to win a cap as such. So I just thought I'd do that one, you know, a little bit of fun. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back further up and then go through where we're at, just to make sure that I haven't missed anyone off. So again, quickly, 6:30 tonight, me and Andy are going to be live on the website and on YouTube doing our monthly catch-up. So if I've had a few questions sent over to me, if you want to send your questions over, you're more than welcome to, or you can just ask them as we're going along. But I just thought I'd mention that as well. So in between, obviously, watching the darts. Got to be watching the darts. So where did we get to? Again, this is the technology bit, but we're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting better every month. Yeah. So this one's from Ryan. Looking good, Paul. Also, do you think the Primatrax pellets will work in winter and the Groundbait? So I know Joe done a video using them, Joe Carras. So if you go on to, I'm sure it's Match Fishing Films, he shows you sort of how he prepares them and uses them for catching sort of little skimmers. And to be honest, I think the pellets would work really, really well when you're fishing for, you know, little skimmers or big skimmers. I think they work brilliantly. So you can hook the micro pellets, you can hook the 4 mils. They're the only 2 that we've got on there at the moment. As for the pellets, yes, but the biggest thing I want to say, Ryan, is they obviously, you can only use them when you go into a venue that doesn't state you've got to use fishery pellets. So, you know, off the top of my head, if you was going to say Barston, you can use your own pellets there. Gold Valley, you can use your own pellets. A lot of fisheries, especially sort of match fisheries, they have their fishery pellets. So just make sure that when, you know, where you're going, you're allowed to use your own pellets. That's the biggest thing that I want to stress. As for the Groundbait, I haven't actually used it this time of the year, to be honest. I personally think it's too strong. It's, you know, really, really high in oil content, really strong pellets. So I feel like in the summertime, definitely from sort of like, I'm going to say June, end of June, but July, August, September, October, those months, that's when that Groundbait's going to work perfect. If you was asking me and I didn't know where you was going, what Groundbait would I use? I'd just use Skimmer's Dark, because it's so low in food content. When you mix it, obviously it's a nice, you know, that dark color. It looks jet black, but when you mix it, it's not as dark as it looks. But when you put it in the water, it sort of blends into the bottom, and I just feel like the fish, they're just comfortable feeding in and around it. I feel like a lot of the time, especially in the winter time, they do sit off the, you know, the edge of your ground bait. But I just think you can't go wrong with Skimmers Dark. So you can't sort of overfeed it. It's just perfect, to be honest. So that's why, again, you all know what I'm like. I'm just nice and simple. I don't like it where I use a bit of this and a bit of that. It just, Skimmers Dark, I've got so much confidence in it. And to be honest, wherever I was fishing at this time of the year on a commercial venue, that's the one that I would opt for, Ryan. And I just don't think you're going to go wrong with that mix. Say the only time I wouldn't use that mix is if I was fishing a method feeder. And that's when, you know, if you was fishing a method feeder and say you was trying to fish for skimmers and an odd carp and they wanted to eat ground bait, I'd just use coarse carp because it binds nicely. The problem with your sort of expander based mixes, which coarse expander, fine expander, pole mix, Skimmers Dark, there's expanders in them, and the problem is with expanders, they're like a sponge. So once you mix your ground bait up, when you squeeze it, it always wants to open up again. Whereas coarse carp is totally different pellets. So once you squeeze it, it actually binds together. But if you was fishing, you know, like a little cage feeder, which we might end up doing tomorrow, then I wouldn't use coarse carp. I'd just opt for Skimmers Dark. So sort of like, you know, a maggot feeder, a few maggots, a bit of dry ground bait, Skimmers Dark. Little cage feeder, I'd use Skimmers Dark. If you was using a window feeder, I'd use Skimmers Dark. The only type of feeder fishing, to be honest, that at this time of the year where I wouldn't use Skimmers Dark and I'd probably use, you know, a different ground bait, that would be coarse carp. But those, to be honest, at this time of the year, be the only two ground baits that I would personally look to use. But ultimately, it's what you've got confidence in. I feel like a lot of the time, especially with me, when I go in somewhere, if I'm confident using something, that's so important to me. But I'm not saying it won't work, but if you wanted to try, you know, using that coarse attracts or fine attracts ground bait, don't feed a lot. But my honest opinion, just use something that's sort of made for the job. That coarse attracts is made for those warmer months, you know, when the fish are really looking to feed, right? So hopefully that helps, Ryan. So moving further down, this one's from John. Well done, Danny. Boys are at it again. Go on, Danny lad. So this one's from James. Well done, all the winners. Thanks ever so much, James. Well, fingers crossed you might be one of our winners on the weight side, James. So this one's from Steve. Good evening. Sorry I'm late. What's happened to Joe's Walk Yourself Well channel? So to be honest, Steve, when she done her marathon, so for the last, she actually went into the doctors today and got an x-ray, and she got a big stress fracture on her shin where a mind's stronger than your body, which quite often happens. And after that, after the marathon, that she walked it, obviously her feet were ripped to bits, but she got a massive stress fracture on her right shin. So she's not been able to do it since. She keeps trying to do bits, but it hurts that much. And I don't want to slate the NHS because I think it's amazing, you know, the fact that we can just go and it costs nothing. But obviously the waiting list is a long time. So she's gone in today and got an x-ray done. So we're going to find out basically what's happened. But that's basically the reason why she can't do it, is because her leg's proper messed up at the moment, Steve. So, but yeah, that's basically why she hasn't been doing it. But fingers crossed we get some good news and get her on the mend. So this one's from Carl. Hi, Paul. Hi, Carl. Hope you're keeping well. And then James put, is there big skimmers? Yeah, there is, James. Really big skimmers. But I'm trying to think. I know, again, I've been trying to do a bit of research today, because the whole point of us traveling is I'm sort of not allowed to phone a friend. But we've got a little bit of a cheat tonight, because obviously we're doing our live with Andy tonight, so I can find out from him how he caught. And I know he recently filmed there for Guru and caught 42 pound, I think, of mainly perch. I see that Grant Merritt done really well. I think it was when we had the storms, and he caught, I want to say, 32 pound of perch on a little feeder. And I'm sure it was in around that stormy weekend where it was horrendous weather. And then I think the weekend just gone, I think Adam Wakeling won with 24 pounds. So that's all I'm saying. Like the weights I'm looking at, sort of 40, 30s, 20s. Now, it has been quite mild this week. So, again, it's a venue that I really don't know, but it's definitely got the potential, you know, to be able to catch that. But I'm just saying, I think that's, if I caught that, James, I'd be made up, to be honest. But I could be wrong. Say I don't know a lot about it. The last time we went to Meadowlands, I'm trying to think. I've got a feeling the last time I fished at Meadowlands was when we filmed our live match. That'd be a mega day, wouldn't it? Obviously, the carp don't care. No, we don't want a day like that. It's silverfish only. We don't want to be hooking carp. But yeah, that was the last time that I fished. So that's the biggest thing about sort of us traveling around. I'm sort of permanently out of my comfort zone. But yeah, so fingers crossed, though. It's definitely got the potential. So this one's from Steve. He's guessed £46.1. Again, that'll be a mega weight. I'll be made up with that. Ryan, £51 10 ounce. I think you boys think I'm a lot better than I am, to be honest. £65, 46 and 51. I'll be made up with absolutely any of those. But say you might know it, you know, got a better idea than me. I know it's definitely been mild this week and it has got the potential. But just from looking at the weights, say the last weight that I see, I'm sure Adam won it the weekend just gone with £24. So I'm just saying. So this one's from Steve. Get well soon, Joe. Best to getting healthy soon. Miss your shorts on YouTube. Yeah, she's absolutely gutted, Steve, as you can imagine. You know, she had a little routine. And I think the biggest thing with walking, one, when you get up and you're doing something, you feel like you've achieved something. And I think the biggest thing about doing regular exercise, you feel good in yourself. And I know she's definitely missed it. But yeah, fingers crossed. Say, hopefully we're going to find out what it is that's, you know, with her leg as such. The problem is, she's got a massive pain threshold where it's ridiculous. So if she's saying it hurts, I've got a feeling, you know, it's not going to be a simple thing. But yeah, definitely want to get her back on the mend. So that one's from Steve. Going a bit further down, this one's from Scott, £26.8. That seems a bit more realistic, Scott. I feel like you've got a chance, definitely. And then this one is from Anthony. Hey, Paul, any winter tips? So if you pop up, Anthony, roughly where you're going, what sort you're fishing for, then I can try my best to help you. Because it definitely depends. You know, I could say try and give you a few tips at tunnel. Whereas if you go into Boddington's, none of that's sort of relatable. And likewise, if you was going and doing that, then the stuff at tunnels, you know, and you go into tunnel, then none of that really is going to be relatable. So yeah, if you just narrow it down a little bit, I'll do my best to help you out. This one's from Darren. Hey, Paul. Skimmers tomorrow at Making Pal. Rod and line, please, mate. Targeting big skimmers, about £3. Not seen you for a couple of months. Hope you're keeping well. Have a lovely Xmas. So 1 second, Darren. So yeah, first and foremost, obviously, I hope you're keeping well, Darren, and I hope you have a lovely Christmas. So I haven't been there loads, to be honest, but if you'll be able to see it on YouTube, it was actually a free one that we put up where I fished a waggler, and that was at Makins. Biggest thing, to be honest, that I feel like I've learned when I went to Makins, so I haven't been there a lot, but loose feeding casters, I definitely think were better than live maggots when I went the first time. When I went the second time, and it was really tough, but everything counted on that day. I can't remember what we ended up catching it. I remember it fishing really, really tough. And I loose fed live maggots, and I really thought loose feeding casters that day would be best. Still with live maggots on the hook. So if there's little roach, just sort of one live maggot, double live maggot, just red maggots, or a maggot and a fluoro pinky. But I definitely felt when I went there, loose feeding casters were better than loose feeding live maggots. I don't know if it's silverfish only. The other thing is obviously you could fish a little feeder. That could work well, but I don't really know what lake you're on. But if it was me going there, from what I've seen of it, I don't almost think it's a big enough venue, to be honest. Not unless maybe you was on Lake One, where a feeder would work really well, unless it was really windy. But if it was me going there, I think I'd feed a long pole line just with a little bit of skimmer's dart, not a lot. Just sort of either feed it damp and loose to start with, just pot a bit of that, and then maybe topping up with some sort of little wet stodgy balls ground bait, loose feeding a few casters over it. The big thing there, what I found, to be honest, again, and this is where it matters whether it's the first one that we done, it was silverfish only, so obviously you don't want to be catching carp. But the last match we fished there, everything that counts. So it very much depends if you're fishing a silverfish only match or whether you want to be catching the carp. And let me just pop these down so they're out of the way. So obviously the biggest thing when it's silverfish only makings now, again, I don't know loads about it, but I know there's loads of carp in there. On some of the lakes, they've got a lot of F1s. So if it's a silverfish only match, the biggest thing, to be honest, what I think, is you've got to be very, very careful how much ground bait you actually feed, because you don't want a peg full of carp that don't count in F1s. So that's the real dodgy bit when it comes to how to feed the pole line. If you're going there and everything counts though, then definitely feeding some ground bait on the pole, loose feeding a few casters, and I'd probably start off on a waggler just past my pole line, or if you was on one of the other lakes, a bomb and loose feeding a few pellets. I'm trying to think of what lake it is now. Is that lake? I think it might be Lake 4, the one where the island and then you've got the rope. So Lake 5 is the one outside the calf, I think. I know that one's very good for carp, but it's on that level. That next one, we went there and filmed, and literally flicking a few 8mm and fishing a bomb and a wafter. That was unbelievable to be able to catch these skimmers and carp. More say in the open water, because you have got some pegs where you could chuck a little method to the island, but if you're in the open water, that's how I would sort of go about it. So basically, in a nutshell, with your pole line, if you're allowed carp, then be positive with the ground bait, because they definitely love coming over it. If it's silverfish only, be very, very careful how much ground bait you feed, because the carp and the F1s love it so much. And again, just loose feeding a few casters or some live maggots over it. And then your waggler, loose feeding casters definitely seem better, but the live maggots when I went there for sort of the better quality silvers. But that's what I would suggest, Darren. But again, hopefully that helps you out. So, he's put here, 1 minute. So it's from Darren, everything counts, just carp only feed at the end of the day, and I need to fish the whole day rather than waiting 4 hours to catch until the carp feed. So, yeah, that's fine then. Do you know what lake you're on, Darren? If you can type that, and then I'll come back to it, because I feel like some of the lakes are quite small and some of them are bigger. And I think it matters regarding, how much ground bait I'd look to feed at the start. So this one was from Anthony, and he was saying, any winter tips, Royal Berkshire and Gold Valley. So I don't go to Royal Berkshire a lot, Anthony. Again, looking at the weights there, the fishing's been quite difficult. I would say sort of dobbing bread across, I know in areas a little maggot feeder can work well. But I think when you're fishing for F1s at this time of the year, the biggest thing, and I touched about it on our last live match that we filmed at Tunnel, is it's amazing how you can struggle most of the day, and then when they want to feed late on and you see on that short line, it's just like you're getting liners, you're getting indications. So I think the biggest thing in the winter time is sort of trying to break your match down more so in your mind. So early on, thinking, right, what is the best way of me catching a fish? So perfect example today in Reading. So again, I'm not far from Royal Berkshire or Gold Valley. If I was going to Royal Berkshire tomorrow, looking at the weather that it's been so far this week, I've had no frost. I want to say it's been sort of 8-10 degrees. So if I was going there tomorrow, 1,000,000% I'd just look at feeding, because I don't feel like the fish are going to be balled up. Again, if you watch Andy's video that he done at Bradshaw's for F1s, and you can see where he drags his plummet and just feels that great big ball of fish. When you're plumbing up, that's a telltale sign that they're sort of all balled up and they don't want to feed. So you can spend time dobbing bread. But I'd say that at Royal Berkshire Fishery, that's the first thing that I'd be thinking about in my mind when I'm going there. Do I feel like I'm going to be able to get some bites feeding, or do I feel like, I'm going to have to dob and spend time when the fish don't want to feed, sort of flicking a bit of bread around. But it's trying to break your match down in your mind, and it's saving yourself for that latter part of the match when more often than not the fish are going to feed. And when you look at the weights and you see, you know, the winner, say he's caught 30 pound, you know, you could easily catch 15, 18 pound in the last 40 minutes. So then you look and think, right, I can catch, say, 15 pound in the last hour, I've got 4 hours to try and catch 15 pounds. So that might mean, again, I don't know Royal Berkshire that well, but if I was going there, I'd be thinking, right, I'm going to try and catch some fish across early. If I can't catch doing that, then if it was me, I'd just tap a little bit of skimmers dark in, a nice comfortable distance, maybe, you know, where your 11 joins your 13 metre bit, tap a bit of that in, flick a few live maggots in, because I know there's loads of silvers, or there used to be in Royal Berks. So again, if I can just go in and get bites, even if it's from small fish to start with, when you're only fishing for 30 pound, them little ones add up. And then that latter part, you know, priming that line later on for when they're going to feed. But I think the biggest tip I want to say is what's so important at this time of the year is the weather conditions leading up to your match. So again, if looking at what's happened this week regarding the weather, if I was going to Royal Berkshire tomorrow and it had been a frost all week, and you'd be thinking, right, well, the most important thing when I get to my peg is see if I can find some fish. Can I feel them with my plummet? You know, can I see any odd pims? Where's the likely looking spot where I might be able to flick a bit of bread? Because again, when you go into a venue regularly, they might not start feeding until the last hour. So it's sort of pointless feeding anything up until that point. So I think the biggest thing at this time of the year is keeping an eye on the weather leading up to it. And then regarding gold, I haven't been this year, but again, like everywhere, it's fishing tough. But if I was going tomorrow, I feel like it'd fish a bit better because we've had this mild weather. I think the weather is so important. And again, on the day, the conditions on the day, if it's sort of overcast and windy, they're definitely more liable to feed, even if it has been a little bit cold. Whereas when you get them bright, still days and a frost in the morning, those are almost the worst conditions. But say regarding gold, I know young Callum messaged me, Callum Hutchins, and he drew, I want to say it was peg 50. And I just said to him, if it was me, I'd just fish a little method, micros and a wafter, loose feed, a few 8 mil pellets for a bomb, and then I'd probably feed, again, a bit of skimmers dark and loose feed live maggots on the long pole line. And I know he won the match in, I'm sure he drew peg 50. And it was just gone. It was a pairs match. And I know he won, you know, both lakes just doing that. But again, the biggest thing is drawing on the fish. I'm sure it was one from peg 48. And that's the biggest thing at this time of the year is ultimately you've got to draw where there's some fish. So, you know, that's another thing. Like do a little bit of research leading up to it, a bit like what I'm trying to do with Meadowlands. And that way it's going to give you a bit of an idea, especially when you're fishing for carp and F1s. They tend to have their little sort of like zones where they live in. But hopefully that helps you out, Anthony. So I'm going to go a bit further down. So we've had a few more guesses. So one from Gary, 24. That sounds good. And then going a bit further down, James, my hero, 31.5, but still praying you get 65.7. Me too. I'm praying as well. So this one's from Steve. You're better than Waco. No. I'd fancy my chances a few places, but when it comes to silverfish and Meadowlands, that style of fishing, Adam is unbelievable. You know, he's absolute class act. And when you look at like, especially there, he's so consistent. He's unbelievable. And say when you look in, you see his name here, there, and everywhere. He's absolute superstar, Adam is. So we done that one. That was from Ryan. So this one was from Darren. So Lake 2. So Lake 2. That was the one, Darren. So if you go on YouTube, you'll be able to find it. It'd probably be like, if you go onto the videos, if you go down there, you'll be able to find it. And that was the lake that I was on. And I was on the A bank. And I think the B bank's a little bit better. So if I was going there, you've got an island on most pegs. So if it was me, I'd probably, at the start on the pole line, again, it's been quite mild this week. So I'd probably feed 400 ml of Skimmer's Dark, just damp and loose, and odd micro in it, a few casters, and I'd feed that on my pole line. And then I'd loose feed casters just past it. And you can go on a waggler, and then every now and again, just flick a few, casters on your pole line. Worms work really well there, but again, if you haven't got any worms, don't overly worry. Sort of just some casters, some live maggers. But if you've got a few worms, then feeding a few worms on your pole line, that could be good. But it was me, I'd probably start off on a little method feeder, sort of feel my way into it. And if I didn't have many bites, I'd be going onto that waggler line. But I feel like if everything counts, that waggler, and then keep dropping in on your pole line. And what I would do, the second I started getting bites on my pole, I'd just stop feeding my waggler line and let them fish come in on your pole. But that's how I would look to feed it. Regarding shortening the edge and stuff like that, I just feel like you're going to hook loads on your long pole. So that's how I would fish, to be honest. Start off on a method, waggler, long pole, done. That's how I would fish if it was me, Darren. So this one's from Julian. Absolute superstar, Jules is. So again, he's put this from Royal Berkshire, fishing very hard, and then going a bit further down. So this one's from Julian. He goes to Royal Berkshire regularly. I'm sure it was Anthony that asked, but let me just double check. Yeah, it was Anthony. Royal Berkshire, yeah, that's it. Need to be very negative at the moment with maggots. Maybe expanders over micros earlier. Flick a waggler or maggot feeder about on the wider pegs. So again, I know Julian does mega there, so just bear that in mind. So what I'm going to do, thank you ever so much for that, Julian, helping Anthony out. So I'm going to leave that there. Obviously, again, massive well done to everyone that's won. I hope you'll have a lovely Christmas and New Year. Time to get fat, get in my belly, as Joe would say. So yeah, hope you all have a lovely time. It's nice to have a break, do a bit of fishing, get fed. But yes, best of luck, obviously, if you're out on the bank as well. And the biggest thing, hope you and your family have a lovely Christmas, obviously a lovely New Year. And I'll catch up with you, a few of you, hopefully in just under an hour's time when we have a catch up with Andy. But yes, and obviously, lastly, best of luck to all of our winners. Where are we going? I'm trying to think. It's the names. It was James, wasn't it? James, you're my hero. That's our target tomorrow. So, yeah, that's the one that I'm going to leave it on. That's our target, James, £65.7. So, yes, until next time, take care. Again, hope you all have a lovely time over the festive break as such, and I will see you all soon. Cheers for watching.